Hey folks, welcome back to another edition of On the Icebox with Iceberg Bricks. I'm your boy, Iceberg Bricks. My guest tonight for my 40th episode is no one and only Kris Productions. You know him from Rebel Lug. He makes magnificent builds, and we're going to find out and dig into the mind of Kris Productions. Without further ado, here's Kris. What's going on, man?
Not much, just cleaning up a bit, doing a little bit of sorting, and then getting ready for my next project.
Nice stuff, nice stuff. And we'll talk about that because I want to know. You left me hanging on your Instagram. So I definitely want to know, man. So what side of the pond are you on, man? What side, the East Coast or the West Coast? What side you on, man?
I'm on the North Coast. I'm actually in Canada.
Okay,
so,
all right.
Yeah, but I'm really close to the U.S. border, but
yeah,
Canada.
All right. Oh, you guys are killing us, man. You know, I think you're probably about the 7th member from Canada that's in the Lego, man. You know, I mean, you guys got like magnificent builds, man. You know, you guys are on it, man.
We got to represent here.
Oh yeah, man. That's for sure, man. So tell me, man, what you know, the $1 million question is, how did you get into Lego, man?
Oh man, that goes way back. I guess I just kind of always enjoyed it. I mean, it was kind of around when I was younger. You know, you played with it, and then all my friends had it, so I was like, well, I guess I should look into this thing called Lego, and I started into it. I started to get a few sets. I know what was going on back then, like Exo Force, and I can't even remember I started with Star Wars, but yeah, I just got into it and never stopped.
Okay, good deal, man. How old were you about when you first started, you say?
Probably, I think I definitely got my first set when I was 6. So that's when it all started.
Okay, all right, 6. So you've been going strong for a long time, man. All right, not bad, man, not bad. I see all those cups and those bins back there, man. So you're a serious builder, man. You don't mess around.
Not at all, no. Well, maybe a little.
So tell me, man, what's your Lego aspirations? What's waiting over the horizon for you and your Lego legacy?
Wow, that's quite the question there. Well, I've really enjoyed doing this YouTube thing, and I've got quite a good following here, so I'd kind of like to do a bit more of that. Right now I'm just in university, and it's getting really good because I'm right near the end now, and I'm going into marketing, and now I'm doing a lot of like e-marketing and new media stuff, so it's really cool to get to kind of do that stuff in school and then come back and do that stuff for fun as well, right? So I'll have a bit more of a chance to get to incorporate that into what I'm doing, and then it means I get to do a bit more of this in combination with that. So I definitely would like to continue building on YouTube. I mean, I'm just ready to start my Building the Jedi Temple series. I recorded most of the first episode. I'm ready to go for that. But after that, I'd sure like to, after this project, I'd like to build the next big Star Wars thing, whatever I'm feeling. Not a replica, though. Something that's like purely out of my mind. I don't want any creative box restrictions. And eventually I'd like to start a city. That would be really fun. You know, just like a lifelong one. Have a place, or at least a bigger room that I can just do that in. Of course, that's when I move out of here and actually have a dedicated space for all this stuff. And then I just like to keep on doing it because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you just hit me to something, Kris. It seems that all the marketing majors are winning big in YouTube, man. Tell us what some of the things that you, and it's funny because I talked to M&R, he's in school and he's taking marketing classes, and he's, so and it's like, and it was somebody else, I forget his name, but somebody else I was talking to, he's a marketing a person, and his Lego YouTube is off the charts. So what are some of the principles that you learn in marketing that maybe a YouTuber can use?
Well, I don't know. I find it really interesting because I started doing YouTube almost, I think, 9 years ago now. So I really have lots of the skills that I find the most important for YouTube, I don't feel like I've ever, you know, taken anything super from school and brought it into this, but it's more like I've learned skills here on YouTube and all that, and I've got to bring them into that. But
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think it's ever been marketing things that I've actually been able to bring in here. I did my first 2 years I did accounting. So
Okay.
for some reason that it actually did a lot of good with just kind of organizing everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just interesting because the stuff that I learned from that and the different management related classes that I had in that have had a lot more of an impact on at least the way that I think I run my YouTube channel or the things that I want to do next. I couldn't tell you anything like specifically, nothing really comes to mind, but I mean, you just kind
Mm-hmm.
of relearn all the stuff like, yeah, you know, be consistent, have character, um, I don't know, just always add value, stuff like that. Just things to
Okay.
kind of bring from that area over to
Okay.
YouTube.
Okay, good deal, man. Good deal. I'm definitely gonna take note, man, because I'm definitely interested in growing, man. I love growing. I love learning every day. Um, oh, that wasn't good.
Uh-oh.
I knocked some Lego over. So tell me, how would you describe your Lego work that you share with us?
That's a really interesting question. I don't know. Are you speaking in terms of like, do I consider it like an art or like that kind of thing, or
Yeah, yeah.
what?
Is it art or is it just like fun?
Was definitely fun.
Mm-hmm.
I always, it's interesting just because with most of what I've done, it's been like kind of along the same thing as more of the hobby, like the people who do the hobby like Warhammer or train setups, and I almost compare
Mm-hmm.
it more to like that kind of thing. So I
Okay.
consider it more of like that than an artwork, because I do a lot of like uh, how do you say, you know, like a lot of battle scenes and stuff, and you don't necessarily picture those as like a form of art as much
Okay.
as more like replicas or kind of telling my own story, I guess. So I mean, that's definitely the way that I like to think of it.
Okay. So you mentioned about not being constricted or being being stuck into a box like by following instruction by turn by turn instructions
Well,
with like replicas and stuff like that. So
mhm, yeah.
tell me what's unique about your building process.
Well, what I really like to do, or like stuff that it's not even like instruction based things. Like some of these sets here behind me, like they were instruction based, and that was a lot of fun because they're way bigger than Lego stuff. But I mean, when I go over to my Jedi temple and I work on that, I'm even gonna feel really constricted on that, just because people have that you know, a preconceived idea of what they kind of think something is gonna look like. So I mean, if I'm building the Jedi Temple, people expect it to be accurate and all this, and I'm really
Hmm.
stuck within a creative box because if I want to add like, you know, a ship landing on the top, it's not going to be accurate, or people are going to be like, "What are you doing?" kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm really excited to do more building that has no like preconceived ideas of what the final product should look like. Like I really felt that with my Scarif Tower. You know, I was building
Yeah.
to a picture, and that's what I was trying to replicate. So I
Okay.
really have enjoyed in the past. I always used to do these big Clone Wars scenes, and I'd really enjoy it because I would have a story in mind, or I
Hmm.
would kind of, you know, it'd be like, what would I want to build? You know, I want to go have this cool Clone Wars base with a big, you know, like prison on rocks with a laser bridge kind of thing. And
Right.
it's just really fun to kind of get to create your own just the whole like experience is your own, the story, the final build, the picture of the whole thing,
Hmm.
everything that kind of goes on with it, and then even like, do the good guys win or not? You know, that's just a lot of, there's a lot of fun in all of that, and I really like to have that full license to creativity where it, you know, I can really do whatever I want with the build, compared to now I'm going to go and work on the Jedi Temple for probably the next 6 months, and it's going to be, for the outside at least, it's got to be like straight up replication, trying to make it as accurate as possible, and then
Right.
on the inside I'll be working with like structure and all this stuff. And then
Uh-huh.
what I really get to do with the inside is that's where I get to have my creative freedom, and there's a few things that I want to replicate, like exactly out of things like the old Star Wars Battlefront and out of games where you've seen the inside of the Jedi Temple and the movies. But I also get a lot of creative freedom on the inside, so I'm very excited to pull off like a really fun interior where I'm going to have like an Old Republic scene on one side, and then like the 501st marching up the front of the temple, and it should be a lot of fun.
Man, yeah, man, it sounds exciting, man. It does, man. I think I started diving into some Star Wars builds and stuff like that. I haven't mocked anything. I'm not that advanced yet, but But I've right now I'm doing a UCS Ghost, and it's definitely tasking, man. It's tasking. It is. It's getting the best of me, man. But I do appreciate the builds, man, and I appreciate what you're going to share with us. So, do you have any other hobbies that are outside of Lego that you may bring over into your box and might influence your box a little bit?
Well, most of my other hobbies are more or less music related, so not too much of that. I've had a little bit of work as like, how would I say this? Like counselor-ish type things, and it's really interesting because I don't really get to bring that into my public Kris Productions stuff, but it's definitely interesting in like the behind the scenes Lego community that I'm always hanging out in Discord servers and stuff. So it's really interesting to manage like that, and just have fun with tons of people in the community and to build some awesome relationships there. So I guess that's a little bit of that, but probably won't be bringing any music related stuff. I play the trumpet, and that's not great for recording your own song and putting it over your video. That would be a little bit questionable. Otherwise, yeah, no, I think that's pretty much all that I could incorporate. But yeah.
Okay, good deal. Lego therapeutic fun. Which one is it for you?
Depends how much school I'm into at the time. If I'm deep into school, then it's therapeutic. Otherwise, it's just fun all the time.
Okay. Has your love for Lego helped you persevere through any difficult situations?
Yeah, definitely. When was it? I guess the first year I went to Brickworld, which was just not like this last year, but the year before, I was going through a pretty rough patch with like a relationship and everything, and that's where it was really just great to remove myself from like my whole regular life and disappear off to a Lego convention for a week. And it turned out to be like one of the most amazing weeks ever. So much fun, ridiculous amount of fun. And I mean, that's what Lego conventions are, always so much fun. I just had some of the most amazing times because you just go to a convention and have fun the whole time. So, I mean, the convention definitely, but I have an amazing group of friends in the Lego community that I talk to like daily. And it's awesome because, I mean, just having awesome friendships with them and stuff is definitely, I mean, more friends never hurts, right? So it's always good to have kind of those friends, and some of them I've become pretty like intimate with. So it's nice to have those relationships and to actually get to really know people, and that definitely helps personally with lots of stuff. So yeah.
So speaking of relationships, you belong to several Lego clubs. Tell us about those Lego clubs.
Well, I belong to my local Lego groups. One is called the Aimbot group, or I guess it's just Aimbot. And they're an awesome lug run by a guy named Christopher Manambo he's on Instagram and Flickr and all that. He's a fantastic builder, fantastic guy, and he runs an amazing lug. Like it's more of an organization. He does workshops with kids all the time, and I mean, the group is about 6 hours away, so I get to display with them like once or twice a year, maybe. I've only been in the group for about a year now. And that's been a lot of fun. But I really would like to get a bit more involved with that. Another one is the Southern Alberta Lego Users Group, and that's one that I've done the most with. They do like the local comic expos, and they just do a few different shows a year. So that's been a lot of fun. It's been really interesting because I've been part of like the YouTube community for like 9 years, and then I've got to expand out and go to the different conventions, and you meet different parts of the Lego community there, and then you meet all the people online, and then of course it's awesome to go and hang out with the local people as well. So it's just been a a really awesome experience, and to get to do that kind of thing. And then you learn different aspects of the whole Lego thing, because then, you know, you're building for a show, or you just kind of get to experience different stuff than anywhere else. So that's definitely been a lot of fun. And then, of course, Rebel Lug has been a interesting experience.
Okay.
I was one of the, I guess, 3 founding people with that, and that was fun. And then there was a bit of a fiasco at this last Brick World Chicago, and after that I kind of had a hard time with the other management of the group, so I've kind of really distanced myself from that group a little bit. I mean, I still partake in lots of the stuff, and it's fun because it's an amazing group of people. There's like 30 Star Wars builders in a group, so it's fantastic to get to be part of that. But as far as being part of like the management of that group, I was kind of forced aside, it was just this really a really bad experience, actually. So it's been interesting to experience that kind of drama, because, you know, you hear about all other lug drama around, you're like, oh, that'll never happen to me, and then it was definitely happened to me.
Yeah.
So
that's like,
yeah,
that's like, yeah, that's everywhere you go. But what I want to do is, you said you was one of the founding members. What I do want to do is that I want to commend you on, like, with that group. I mean, you know, that group, you know, is intertwined with, you know, some adults and some T-falls and stuff like that. So how is it that you guys work to bridge the gap between the A-fall community and the T-fall community and still stay viable?
I think it's really funny because we haven't had to do much of that, and I know at some point we turned away some 1, maybe 2 people because they were older A-falls, and it almost scared some of the T-falls in the group, because at the time I was only 18 or whatever, and then I was like one of the oldest people in the group, so it was like, well, do we want to go and add somebody that's 30? It's gonna be really weird, because we also have like 14-year-old guys in here as well. So I don't think, honestly, we have done a good job of bridging the gap. I know it biased a bit of people that didn't end up in the group early on, so that's kind of interesting, because it is still a predominantly, I think, under 18 Lego users group. But yeah, so I don't think we've done a great job of it, but, just because we have mainly stayed as like a younger group. But that's where it's always changing, because everyone is turning into an adult in the group. So it'll definitely shape up differently, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I think on the other side of that is, like, you know, on the A-fall side, I got in late, and so, you know, that was kind of some of the I guess the A-fall community that I belong to. That was some of their concern, that how to attract some of the T-falls and how to kind of bridge that gap with the T-falls, because, you know, granted, you know, you talk about 2 different communities, 2 different views, and you know, trying to bring them together, and which, you know, sometimes they clash, and sometimes they, you know, it's a happy family. So it's kind of, you know, it's tough to juggle. It's real tough to juggle.
Definitely. Yeah, it's something that I just find a bit interesting, is like with our local groups and stuff. It's interesting because I think all the people are probably like 30 to 50-ish in the group that I joined here locally. And that's where it's interesting to kind of come in as like this 18-year-old guy who really is passionate about Lego and everything. And then you're like, hang on, there's maybe like one 25-year-old guy, and another one that's like 30. And it's like, these are the easiest people to relate to. But then, I mean, just because of personal life stuff, I've always been really good with just like, I'm an only child. So like all my close family are like seniors for some reason. So, I mean, I've always been better at talking to adults, just as like even when I was just 18 there. So it was fine with me in the group, but I realized that kind of pushed away some of the potential younger people joining. So that's just an interesting thing to kind of note for myself there, that it's like, what happens, that's kind of an example of an adult group that's not really looking to um, you know, like super go out of their way to welcome these new T-falls, and then it definitely shows on the majority like age in their group. It kind of stays as that. So
yeah, that's good observation. That is, and you know, I'm sure like in the chat now, you got a couple A falls, and you know, they take a note of that. You know, the ones that control the channels, they take a note of it. And so, you know, I think it's important because we all together and we all got a common interest, you know. So, you know, I think it eventually, you know, we'll mesh, you know, and I hope it's sooner than later. So, back to business. What was, and you had quite a few projects I was looking at. Which one was your most difficult?
Wow, definitely. Can I count the one that I'm building right now?
Yeah, sure, man.
That's going to be super difficult. I mean, I'm building a thing that's going to be like 5 feet tall and just has like a massive. I mean, it's like 2 8-foot tables, and I'm building a big, like half box over it. I'm going to cut it in half, so it's like a big cross section in the back. But I mean, structurally, that's really tough, and that's where otherwise Scarif would have been my biggest challenge of a build, because not just was I worried about running out of pieces all the time, but especially when I got near the top. When I got to the very end, I had about like an hour before I had to leave, and I pretty much built the whole top of it right before I had to drive off, which was another whole experience. But I mean, just doing that like structurally, and then I also had to build it modular just to, you know, to bring this thing to Chicago. And it ended up coming apart into some just really big chunks, and then it ended up working pretty well, but the structural integrity was a bit questionable once it got near the top. So I mean, if I were to do it again, I'd probably do it a little bit different, but definitely challenging in the structure is always something with me, because I always try to build bigger every time, and that bites me in the butt every time. So
right. Oh yeah, definitely. So tell me, Kris, what was tell me about your through your from age 6 to 20, what was your most memorable interaction you had with someone regarding your Lego hobby?
Well, that's a pretty good question. I don't know. It's been cool because I got to meet, you know, like a few Lego celebrities ish kind of thing. I met. I know you had the picture of me. It's on the front of your slideshow. Me with Zazi Nambi's there. I know he's got like 1 million subscribers, and I met him, and he lives in the same province as me here in Canada, and he's never been to like a Lego event before. So I meet him at this comic expo, and that was super cool to be the only Lego fan. He was doing a panel on how to get 1 million subscribers, or whatever the play button is for that. And it was interesting because like I got to meet him there, and it was like, hey, this is really cool. He's, you know, I'd rather get his autograph than pay whatever $80 to go get Peter Mayhew's, or, you know, one of the other few Star Wars actors that was there or something. So I found that was a really fun interaction, and then we got to talk a whole bunch. But that's probably it. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good deal, man. Good deal, man. Real good deal. So you had a question in the chat. They wanted to know about the walkers behind you.
Okay. Just in general?
Yeah. What did he say? Let me go back one minute. Hold on. Let me go back. Let me please the crowd there for a minute. Yeah. He just said, ask him about the Rogue One walkers behind his table.
Okay. Well, the two ACTs, the Rogue One ones, they are the rebrickable model for, what is it? You can find it on Rebrickable. It's, I wish I could pronounce the guy's name. It's pretty Russian. But he did the most fantastic AT-AT design, and then I built 3 of them for my Scarif, and then I just replaced the side panels with the nice orange that you see there, and they're really cool, so I like to keep them around. And then I just built this ATM6 by Michael Kowalski, I think, on YouTube and Instagram here, and that is a fantastic build. It was incredible. And then, I mean, you can see them all compared to the regular Lego AT-AT there.
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. Kris, how important is the the Lego community to you and your builds?
It's way more important than I bet anyone that watches my videos or anything thinks, because I spend so much time talking to people in the Lego community. I absolutely have loved to become a part of it. And it's been so much fun because, like I said, I joined my local group. I've joined a few groups, and then I'm part of Rebel Lug, and on Instagram there's such an active community, and then I've got a whole group of friends with like Rebel Lug, and then I've got my own kind of Discord server with my own close group of like 20 some friends, and then I can go over to Jay, right? Rich Boy Jay. You ever?
Yeah, I heard him. Yeah.
Like, you got his server, and so it's really cool just to see these using Discord, all these servers appear, because then you get to communicate with all these random people in the community. So I've absolutely found the community super important to myself and the builds, because I'm just interacting with it every day, and I like live in the Lego community. I got my iPad with me all the time, ready to check or respond to DMs or a Discord conversation or something. So yeah, I absolutely love being a part of it, and I think it's very important, because that's what keeps you engaged all the time in Lego, and it keeps me personally super active and alive, even though I'm not posting anything myself. So yeah,
that's what I want to know. You left me hanging there, man, with that last build, man. You left me hanging because you ain't post no more, man, since December 25th or something like that. Yeah. We're gonna find out right now. Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. This is the second half of On the Icebox. My guest tonight is the phenomenal Canadian builder, Kris Productions. He's in the house, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to dive into his builds, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed. So stick with us for the second half. All right. All right, here we go. So this was your moment with what was his name?
Zazi Nambis.
Ah, nice name. That's zingy, real zingy name to it. All right. Good deal. So you were at what was it? Brick World Chicago here? What event were you?
That was just a local comic con. Like it was just so cool to be going to that, and our lug had a big display there, and I just met him and hung out with him, so it was awesome.
Okay. Good deal. All right, let's dive into it. All right, so before we get to the Star Wars stuff, yes, Kris does build other things than just Star Wars stuff. So tell us about this magnificent build that we're looking at right now.
You must have had to dig pretty deep on my Instagram to find stuff that isn't Star Wars here. Oh, man.
Yes.
This was a recreation of the Beatles rooftop concert building, and I just built it. I was going to build it for a rebrickable contest. Yeah, I think so. And I tried to go for accuracy here, and it was pretty good. I didn't have any actual window panes at the time, so that was a bit awkward, but it ended up being a pretty close replica to the rooftop concert building that the Beatles did their final concert together on there. So it was a fun build, and apparently I guess I never posted a final picture of the build. I think it must have died after I transported it back from I think it was just a small show that I took it to. Okay,
good deal, yeah. Good deal. So one quick question for you, I see in the chat right here. It says, what are the typical builds that your lug does, and you participate in the city builds?
Well, my lug does. We always do. I've been really lucky because we've done Star Wars collabs for the last few years for our comic expo, but then we've done like small city collabs. They haven't been too great because for some reason most of the people in my local group actually really are big fans of Star Wars. So we pulled off a pretty big Mos Eisley collab and a pretty big Scarif collab last year, and then this year we did a Back to the Future collab, and I built 3 different movie theaters that I guess I didn't post either.
Ah, man, you're leaving us hanging, man. Come on.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's always really fun to get to kind of step out of my comfort zone and get to do those other things. But it's funny with this photo because I had some friends on the just from YouTube and stuff, make jokes about, hey, you're turning 18, and I'm for some reason just a year or two older than most of them, and they all made jokes about, hey, you're going to become an AFOL now. Are you going to buy modulars and rearrange them to make a city? And then I actually bought a modular, and I could not believe how awesome those sets were. So I started to collect them a bit, and now they have a shelf in my other room there.
Nice. Okay. Okay. Welcome to the dark side. Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome. So tell us about this build here that you got here.
Well, to tell the truth, after my little run-in with modular buildings there, I actually have been pretty inspired to build my own Lego city. And I don't have room because when I do it, I want it to be like a big lifelong project thing. You know, that's going to be my hobby when I am older, and I'm really excited to do that in the future. And so in the meantime, I've been kind of buying up parts, and sometimes I get pretty inspired. So I go out and build stuff for my future city. And I know you're probably going to appreciate this, but it's probably going to be a bit of an Arctic theme. I can see that you here at Iceberg Bricks loves the Lego Arctic stuff.
Yes, yes, it do.
So I mean, I got to make my city Canadian, of course, but so yeah, I definitely got inspired to do that, and that's where I decided I'd make a Frozen Castle modular, because I got the Frozen Castle set, the earlier one, and I was like, hey, let's build a modular building out of this.
Indeed, indeed. Man, that is magnificent, man. You know, I was actually trying to figure out how I was going to build my HQ, so I bought up all this stuff from Big B, you know, all this white stuff, and I'm like, how am I going to sit down and you know, try to put this thing together, man? And I drew a blank, man, so I had to shelf it because I drew a blank, but I'll definitely come back to it once things cool down a little bit. So. But yeah, man, this is excellent, man. You know, you got the regular, you know, modular structure with incorporate a little bit of ice up in there. You know, that's, you know, so it doesn't look like an igloo, but it looks like a cold building. You know. Oh
yeah, yeah.
That's very cool, very cool. And see, it fits right in there with the rest of your modulars there. Yeah. So now you're a good certified old person because you collect modulars now. So.
I guess.
All right. So I digged in the archives on your Instagram, and this was actually the first Lego related post that you made. Tell us about this.
Yes, it is. Well, I created Instagram back a few years ago, and I decided I'd make a prototype of what I do if I was going to make a Camino Moc, because that's always been an interest of mine. So I built myself a little bit of a cloning chamber thing, and that's what the prototype looked like. And I think it's actually still sitting on my desk here somewhere. But I mean, yeah, it's not a great historic first post, but it's something.
Right, yeah. Good deal, good deal. So what are your thoughts right here? You know, you holding this up, and of course, like you said, you're new to YouTube and Instagram at this point. I mean, tell us some of the inspiration that you're feeling right now.
Wow. At this point, I was probably already about, what, five years into being a YouTuber. So I'd already been super inspired, because what really brought me into the whole Lego community was Star Wars: The Clone Wars. And I had been building Mocs like that on YouTube for up till like 2 years ago. And yeah, I don't know. That's why cloning chamber, to get to finally build the home of the clone troopers, that would be a pretty cool thing to do. But of course, I think we're 4 years from the time I posted this photo, so it's still not on the close radar to build, but definitely be a fun one to do in the future.
Okay, good deal. All right, man. Tell us about this baby here, because this is like the ground, the breaking ground right here. You got a lot of rock work in there. I love the rock work. So tell us about this right here.
Oh wow, this was such a big build for me, and not just because it was like my biggest build at the time, but because I had, right from the start on YouTube, I was like, man, I always want to do the Battle of Kashyyyk. I'm going to do something awesome. And it was before so it was, I think, a few months before Solid Brick Studios did his, or even started to do his giant one. And I mean, I was super hyped. So I mean, I had all these new slope pieces to use, and this was one of my first times doing rock work. Like I'd done it a few times before, but I only pretty much had like the 1x2 dark gray slopes. So at this point, I was really stepping out of my comfort zone, trying to do a whole different kind of rock work, because back then it was like all just out of 1x2s, and that was pretty questionable rock work. But I was actually like, if you go to the next photo and stuff, I mean, this really progressed into like, it's just one huge mountain now. I do regret using up all my, as you can see, terrible job of filler. But I mean, I wasn't planning on. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you were learning. You were learning.
Yes, I was learning. I thought I had all the 2x4 bricks in the world, and then I could just build it completely rock solid. But later on, I ended up having to throw all my other pieces in there. But it was because I wasn't building. I was just going to build the mountain and then trees, and then it was just beach. Other than that, so I didn't have much else to. Another great use of filler. I didn't have, I would build a base or something, and I wasn't doing a base, so yeah, I got to throw everything in that mountain.
Okay, all right. You got it real built up here now. Which stage? Tell us, which stage are you in right now with this picture right here we're looking at?
What stage? I have. It looks pretty close to being done. I mean, that's what was interesting is I got to try this tree incorporated in the rock, and I think in the end the tree actually looked questionable, and as you can see, it kind of like slopes back into the rock and expands out, so it doesn't make too much sense, I would think. But I think we're nearing the end of the build here, and I'm probably just getting the news that I get to go to my first Lego local lug event here. They were hosting a show, and I actually got to bring this mock there. And as you can see, there's no clear and easy places to take this mock apart.
Right.
So this became a learning curve for making builds modular.
Yeah, definitely. I was just about to ask you that. So down in the bottom left corner, describe this picture. What are we looking at right now?
I decided I'd build a giant clone base. And then I must have been in a Skype call or something with a few friends. Maybe even a YouTube live stream. I don't know. They were around at the time. And I don't think anyone asked me to stack the ATTEs, but it seemed like fun at the time, so I did. And it never tipped over anything, so that was fun. This is one of those structural problems that I've dealt with.
Okay, because I was about to say it looks totally advanced, but it looked like it'd give you some problems.
Boy, no, they were. I mean, I thought at the time it was a great idea to order a ton of these on Bricklink, and I probably got them for a great price and everything. So very excited about getting the pieces, and then. Yeah, they did not work well for structure at all. I think by the end, all of them had fallen out. Like I put the next layer of like the roof over top, and they all started just falling out on their own. So in the end, I don't think any of them were there in the final video. But yeah, structure became pretty important to me after finishing that.
Gotcha.
Oh. This guy is a throwback to my first very successful YouTube video.
Okay.
People quite enjoyed the waterfall at the time. It was something else.
Yeah, man, and that, you know what? When I picked this picture, I was looking at it, man, and it just had me. I caught myself staring at it for about 2 minutes, man. Because it was just like, like if you look at it, it looks like the water is really rushing down on this one.
Yeah, it was a different time back then, at least for me. I mean, this was 7-ish years ago now, and I mean, just the idea of having water made out of studs at the time was pretty revolutionary for me, at least. And but it was fun because I mean, this was all my own like I talked about earlier, the creativity part, this was totally just something where it's like, man, I really want to build a mountain, like there's a whole base underneath it, and then I want to put a big waterfall in it because I got the parts. So let's do this.
Right, right.
So that was
Awesome.
a lot of fun.
Awesome deal, man. Man, my hat tips off to you, man. Tip my hat off to you because you're all about the details in the showing. Like you spend time working these details, man. Like even like with this insignia here.
Yeah, this is something else to build. I actually still have it around, which is interesting because I don't keep next to anything built for that long if it's from my own creations, and it's just been really cool because I made this. It's the door in that big clone base, and I mean that's why I thought, hey, this would be really cool to make transparent, and it's the door. And then I had this revolutionary idea for the door where I would cheat this system, and the door would actually slide into the ground. And how I did it is I had the part where the door was on was in between my two 6-foot tables. And I think I could only do it. I don't even know if I was able to pull it down in the final video because the idea of having this wedged in between bricks and then the fact that it would slide down and then the two tables are a bit uneven. I don't think in the end it worked too well. You know, it wasn't that very nice slide down or anything, but it was definitely something fun to try and an awesome fun detail to put in the base for sure. Ah,
nice. Good. And man, that thing is massive. That's a lot of brick, bro. That thing is massive, man. So, tell man, what I want to know is like, you know, we watch Star Wars and stuff like that, and man, the battles go so fast. How were you able to actually take this from a picture and put it on the table in brick?
Well, that's the thing is this isn't from a picture at all, right? This is just something that I wanted to do. I wanted to make a giant clone base and one that could fit all my big tanks in there and have hangers in the top. And I really wanted to try a big, because I'd done quite a few by this point and I had more pieces than I did for my previous one. So I thought, hey, let's try doing this giant curve. And it was a lot of fun in the end. And I mean, it had its problems, but yeah, no, it's all just out of my own imagination and kind of, you know, sketching stuff and planning it out a little bit and, you know, just trying to do the next the next big clone base at the time. It was always so much fun because this, you know, it was my own battle scene and base from the Clone Wars in my imagination, I guess, right? And then I got to bring it and build it for YouTube.
Right. Awesome, man. This is definitely awesome, man. And like worked out the details, man. Here's another shot of it a little bit further down the line. And like how you got these arches over top of it. It looks like a real like a hanger, man. I mean, it's the details from top to bottom, man. The details are just immaculate, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no. It's really interesting what you just mentioned before, as you said, man, that's sure a lot of brick. And I kind of remember that most people that know me today or have been following me and stuff, no one knows that I've been around on YouTube for like 9 years now, and I don't just go out and spend a few grand on brick for every new mock. And it's the idea that I had been building up my collection, and I continue to build it up so I can build bigger and bigger every time, kind of thing. So that's where it was really fun to attempt to build this, and I definitely ran out of parts doing that giant snot floor on the second level there that took all my brick. But it was definitely quite challenging to do that and a lot of fun. And that's where it was fun every time. And I'm sure we'll come to it later, but I do my next mock, and then that one's like, this is 2 6-foot tables, and then that next one is 3 6-foot tables. And I mean, I just tried to push my limits every time. And I mean, 3 6-foot tables is my entire room. Pretty much. Right. So, I mean, I reached the limit there. And then after that with Scarif, I went for Sky's the limit. And then it was too tall to actually put up in my room on the table. But it's always been fun to really push the limits on what I can do size-wise. So.
Definitely, man. It's this thing is and it's like, you know, like you know, some builders will concentrate on maybe just the building and stuff like that. You do the building, you do the surroundings. Like you got this detailed on the surrounding. You know, this is like a whole Lego display itself in its own, man. You know, you really putting in the details and the work on the beach, on the terrain and everything here too.
Oh yeah. Well, this one was so much fun because it's like making the most exotic plant life in all of Star Wars, pretty much. And I mean, this is a planet that you do see in Star Wars. So I mean, I was trying to recreate some of these plants. So it was just fun to, like, you got the prototype picture for the one plant there, and that was really fun to just attempt and try something that's totally alien and foreign in style, and then as well to me as a builder, just to get to do something totally unique like that. And then the terrain was so much fun because I got to use all these, you know, getting to use lime green, and then I started out with a layer of my leaf pieces there, and then I actually built it up, and I don't think it ever was shown well in video or anything, but I ended up having like this 10 in the center of that. It would be like 10 brick high foliage, and I just tried to make like as thick jungle as possible. So it was just a really fun experience.
So wait a minute, hold on, let's back up. Wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute. I just said right there, it is right there. So I'm looking over back to the left, and I, you know, to pick up, you know, to reiterate what you just said, that door slides down, and I see the two tables. Man, yeah. That's definitely working with your space, man. I mean, you knew what you had right there, and you just, you know, you that's awesome, because, like, you know, how would you even get like Lego to move like that? So and I'm sure that video was awesome. So I'm definitely going to look back at the video.
I'm not gonna lie, I think my video work is one thing that I definitely want to, and always should have wanted to a bit more, to improve on my overall video production, because there's a lot of things that I don't think are as captured as well as they can and should be, and then other things like the door that don't work out kind of just pass off a little bit, because I'm sure I pull it down and then it might break mid me pulling it down. I think it snapped in half one time. I don't actually remember what I did for the video, or maybe I just cut it with the door down, but I can't remember how I did the video work. But that's always something that I'd like to improve on, because I mean, it's pretty cringy, honestly, to go back and watch my older videos. So. Yeah,
definitely, man, definitely. I mean, you could tell you evolved. You were already advanced, but you were just evolving even more. Like even from this build to the build we're about to see here, and even like these plants, life, man. I mean, I mess around with some of the plants and stuff like that. Try to put some terrain on my stuff, but I just don't have a vision like that. You know, this vision is like real advanced, man. It's quite imagination. And quite a collection, quite a collection you got here, man.
Oh yeah. So just something about collecting when you're in Canada is you realize, because I run across the American shop at home and Toys R Us and all those things, because you learn to type in .com all the time, right, instead of .ca. So I end up seeing that Lego is always so much more expensive in Canada. It's about 20% more expensive all the time. So being a younger person, even like in elementary school and then into middle school, especially middle school, I started to get like local, you know, jobs like paper routes and mowing lawns and stuff. So I could earn money to go out and really buy Lego sets. And then for a little while, the dollar Canadian to US is equal. And we would go down for like a summer trip to the US. And then I get to buy a whole bunch of sets when I was down there with all the money that I'd saved up. And it was awesome. And so I've always been a big deal shopper. So, I mean, again, and I mean, this collection has been built up over a long time on YouTube. So at whatever point YouTube started to fund back into my Lego hobby, that's when I think, all my money that I've earned from YouTube has gone back into bricks to use on the channel. So you can definitely, see that with stuff like my armies, but I've never actually purposefully collected for the sake of like army videos or even like this collection video, but it's more just been like, oh, well, you know, the more pieces I have or the more sets I have, you know, I like to buy sets that are useful for potential builds and stuff, and to get parts that are potentially going to be useful for future builds. And that's the scary thing with Lego, is you never know what you're going to build next, right? So you want to, so it's kind of pushed me to grow a pretty big collection.
Yeah, that's a good philosophy, just to have the you know, you can have the collection that way you have the parts that you possibly might need down the road at hand already, you know. So
Yeah.
I mean that's good. That's a good philosophy, man.
You mentioned there's definitely going to be a lot of AFOLs viewing this, right?
Hmm.
Something that was just interesting to me when I was a younger TFOL, I would actually
Hmm.
say this to myself. I'd be like, man, because even you said yourself, you only got into Lego more recently, or at least YouTube more recently, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I mean, as a TFOL, I went to whatever cons and stuff, and I saw, wow, these AFOLs are just getting into Lego now at like 20, 30, 40, and they've got to start their collections from the bottom again. And I really, for some reason, took that to heart. So I was always saying to myself, man, when I'm an AFOL, I'm gonna have such an awesome collection. I'm gonna be able to build some awesome stuff. And I mean that
Uh-huh.
I think that worked out pretty well because I have a lot of
Yeah. Yeah, you
questionable
made it.
pieces. Yeah.
Yeah, you made it to the eighth fall, man, and you got a hell of a collection, man. You do, indeed, you do. So tell us about these pillars here that we're looking at. These support pillars you're looking at. We're looking at.
They were fun. I think I just built them one night. I had a lug display coming up, as well as a Rebel Lug collab coming up. The first one, in fact, this ended up being, these are the legs to my first build, which started off the first Rebel Lug collab, which we actually created the initial group for. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're just some big old stilts for a big for a mock.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Good deal. Good deal.
And that's a landing pad that I threw on top of it, and that's the one that I took to the local lug display. I quickly set it up as a Star Wars Rebels Mustafar thing. I think we were just displaying for like a mall show or something. So just fun
Mm-hmm.
to take something like this and be part of a local lug event, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. Man, there you go, right there. Oh, you got my ship there, man. The ghost.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, that is amazing, man. And like, don't take offense to this, but from all your other builds, this is like small, man. This is small, but it looks so amazing because you nailing these details. You nailing every last one of these details. You see the kids over there, they stuck because they're sitting there looking, they're stuck, you know. And so, like, this is probably one of your smaller builds, but you nailed all the details.
It's funny you mentioned that. If you would have asked me to list off my builds, I honestly don't think I would even have remembered this one. Honestly, wow, I totally
Uh-huh.
forgot that this one ever existed. But it's fun to see because I was just kind of playing around with building some landing pads, and then there was a
Hmm.
lug show. So it's like, oh, let's turn this into something, and turned out as a pretty cool mock.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely, very very cool mock, man. So tell us about this right here on the table you got.
Well, this was my first part of this lug collab. I had just joined the group, and we
Okay.
were at my first Comic Con, and
Hmm.
we did a big Tatooine collab. So it was cool to get to build this crash ship. I can't remember what it's called. I knew the name at some point, but it was really interesting because you can see I tried to do a bit more terrain than you can definitely tell is around
Hmm.
the rest of the stuff, and it's because I joined this group and I had been used to like the online Lego community and stuff, and I
Okay.
had no idea I didn't even realize there would be standards for kind of like what typically people in the lug would be doing for any part of this collab. So it was kind of interesting to
Okay.
see, well, okay, this is what we're doing for the lug collab. Most of the base plates don't have any kind of terrain shifts or anything. So it's like, oh, okay, well,
Okay.
I probably didn't need to do as much there, but
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it adds depth when you do that. It adds depth into the impact that ship is really digging into the ground. So I mean, you did a good job on that, man. Even though they were trying to keep it plain.
yeah, that's the thing. I just had no idea, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. So recycling bricks, man. You recycle these landing pad pillars, and you decide to build something else on top of it. Tell us what we're looking at.
I did. So this was turning into a nice Clone Wars prison,
Okay.
and yeah, it would be my first part of our Rebelug Clones Alone series, and
Okay.
it was, I don't know, it was interesting because I don't actually remember if I intended to build those pillars for this or for that lug build. I've got a feeling it was actually for this, and then I just realized that I could rearrange them and stuff. But I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay.
That's where it was interesting because I wanted to go for a shape on the build that isn't like a stereotypical design at the time. Because it's funny. Some of the people in Rebelug, I feel like, are some of the most judgmental people on my building for sure. So
Okay.
that's where I really wanted to work on it and you know, put out really well for this collab and just do something that was new and unique. So it definitely has a different shape overall as a build, right?
Right. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, you definitely raised the bar. You know, and like you say, you know, it's always like my grandfather always said. You know, you pick friends that are smarter than you. That way, you learn something every day. And so, you know, for your friends to be, you know, real critical of your artwork, that's good. You know, because then you know you always got to bring your A game every day. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
good deal.
What?
Good deal.
Oh, there we go. Wow. This was definitely another fun one. It's always fun to pour out the studs there, but it started to get a bit boring for terrain, right? So I found it fun because I got to use the orange tiles from, you know, Pick-a-Brick there underneath, so you can definitely tell in like the lava there. It's got a good kind of color. I wouldn't say contrast, but it's just some nice different color changes in there. So it's not just that purely like blood red or a bright orange or something. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And you definitely did that. Yeah. It looks like some hot lava, man. It really do. That's good stuff, man. So, this picture here. What are we looking at? Tell us the story.
I didn't actually build this. This is just part of the Lug collab here, and I thought it was
Okay.
very awesome. I think it's landing bay 42 or 16. I can't actually remember, but I just thought it was fantastic the way that he did the curve on it, and not so much because I've like seen the curve and I'd done the curve before out of 1x2 bricks, but it was interesting to see a dual layer of it. So you know how it's got that, what is that, probably a 10 stud separation between the two layers of the curve. So I just thought it was a really fantastic build, and I thought it just looked really nice. It was done very well.
Okay, cool.
Great advice.
Yeah. All right, so here you're starting a new project. Tell us what you're starting.
This was my what I had done is I had been doing most of the planning for this first Rebelug collab, the reason why we created the group for, and I really wanted to start the series off with a pretty sizable build, and then I wanted to end it with a big bang. And I mean, I thought, hey, well, at first, why don't I kind of do a bit of a hanger thing? I guess that's just a common thing to do.
Right.
Definitely like to do that. And at this point, I had severely increased my amount of light gray tile, it appears. And my overall brick collection. So I was definitely able to expand out on this build. You're gonna say something?
Yeah. Good deal. Man. So I'm looking at that tower that you got in the back there. I mean, where do you? And again, this is off the cuff, man. I mean, tell us about the vision that you saw for this project.
Oh man! So I think what happened was I had like a one. There was like a one, or I think it was maybe a 2-table idea for it, and it was like my more conservative idea for the build, and it would just be whatever. And then I was pretty cool. I think I was about 3 weeks away from the deadline of when this build was supposed to go up, and I kind of decided that, hey, if I order the parts for this hanger, all that trans blue, I had some because that's a pretty favorite part of mine there, those trans blue 1x2x5 bricks. But if I order a large amount of these for this hanger, I'm probably not going to be able to finish this mock on time. And then kind of to our set collab deadlines for it that we did, or at least our schedule. And then in the end, stuff happened. My parents ended up booking a trip that I think like the week of that I had to work on the mock. Like there was a week off or something of school, and I just couldn't finish the mock on time. So then I decided, hey, it's late, so I am just gonna go full on this mock, and I'm gonna do like the best and biggest build that I can possibly do. So even like that hanger, I ended up redoing it later, so the 1x2x5s go in a different direction. It looks a bit better, but I mean, I just I took this build to the next level, literally, and that's where even those towers, like you said there, they are, I mean, they're quite something. And those are, I had to make a whole bunch of those they're just the support columns, right? So that was the vision was definitely big, and I think it definitely turned out to be what I envisioned.
Yeah, this thing is magnificent. I'm looking at it, man. Just the architecture on this thing is beyond anything.
Yeah. And of course, like with every build, I try a few new things. So despite what you might think, it's not my first attempt at a city. That's not my train yard or anything. No, that was going to be that was an elevator inside the base, and it went to the 3 different floors. So it was really cool to try out something new with that, using the train track for that. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun to try out lots of new things in the build.
Man. And I was wondering what that was too. See, like, and it's amazing. I'm glad to have folks on here because, like, you know, when I first looked at this picture, I wasn't sure exactly what that was, man. And so you're able to explain it. You know, that's pretty cool, man. Wow. So tell us what we're looking at now.
Oh, I've always wanted to do. I don't know. Have you ever seen the Clone Wars TV show?
Yes, I have.
Have you seen the Battle of Umbara before?
Yeah, I think I remember it vaguely. I probably have to go back and watch it.
Okay, well, I've always wanted to do a build of that. It's on like my checklist, and at the time I went out and I had bought all this trans neon green stuff, and whether or not it was actually for this mock, and I had done it. These quarter cylinder parts in dark gray. I obviously just got quite a large order of those in as well. So I got all these new parts, and I definitely want to try them out. And I had a comic expo coming up, and I thought, hey, well, I'll build a little build for that. So I kind of whipped this thing together pretty quickly, and it's a little bit questionable. But the 212, the orange clones there, they were actually part of the battle. So hypothetically, it could be accurate in some strange part of the Star Wars universe, but I don't know. I just thought I'd throw it together. And then there's actually a black light on the inside, but of course, this comic expo did not have any time in the dark, so I didn't really get to show that off. But there was kind of a whole trans neon green rock cave underneath there that really lit up really nicely, and I definitely love to come back to doing that someday.
No glow zone. Huh?
No glow zone.
Man. All right. So we're looking at the top of this thing now, and I'm really digging it, man. You know, you got a lot of ebb and flow going on here, man.
Oh man, this just brings me back to this mock, because that's the weird thing was, you know, we kind of had our deadline for when the stuff was supposed to be uploaded, and then I realized I kind of blown the deadline, and then all of a sudden I had to build for this comic expo, and I ended up building all these other side mocks along with building this monstrosity. Like I built that Umbara. I think I also built a Taco Donna, I think like a 4 gray base plate part of a collab during this time, and then I took I did my first brick world while I had this thing set up. So I think you have a picture later on of another build too. So I mean, doing this at the same time as doing all these other things was it was crazy because I was building them in that little area right in front of the hangar door there. But this was my rise above adaptation of the structural failures of my previous builds.
Right.
I understood that I needed some technique in there, and then as well I did a lot of like plate. As you can see, there's quite a bit of white plate going down there. Before this, a few years, I thought, well, I need about enough plate to cover a much simpler mentality. I need enough like white plate to cover a 6-foot table so I can build a snow mock, and I need that much green so I can make a Naboo or a Kashyyyk or something like that, right? So, it ended up being perfect because I had enough plate to cover that 6-foot area or more than 6-foot area of making another floor to it, and then making it actually structurally sound. So it was only on top of this Technic and then a plate layer, and there's a gray plate layer, so it actually looks nice underneath. On top of this, I still added another layer complete of snot brick in the final thing. So I mean, I really went all out on doing the structure in this and the design as well. So it was fun to kind of rise above and just take that challenge head on.
You can see, like you said, you learn from your mistakes from the past. You can see the corrections that you made now, and where it's structurally sound, like you know, and you're using your brick more wisely. And I mean, you can see that the evolution of your thoughts. Man, you know what? Do you sketch this stuff down, or you just this is right out of your mind onto the plate?
It depends. This next one you brought up, this is what I took to Brick World. I don't think I sketched this one down. I was graduating at the time, so maybe I sketched it down while I was bored in a class or something.
Okay.
That's when I have drawn up a lot of my builds, is definitely during school. I still do, which is problematic when I'm building or when I recently I just took 6 months off because my university stuff was just way too hectic, so I just decided to take 6 months off of building completely, or not 6 months, a few months off here, whatever, since Christmas. And it was great to do that, but as well, near the end, all of a sudden I found myself sketching out new builds that I wanted to do. And just the other day, I was finishing up a rehearsal with a group, and I had to sit around for like half an hour. So I was just drawing and sketching, and I came up with this new fantastic, like the next level idea. So yeah, I definitely sketch these things out, and it's so much fun because when I sketch them out, I'm like, man, this would be so awesome to build. I hope I can get to it one day. And I mean, then of course stuff evolves, because I when it's my own thing, then I get to freestyle a lot on top of my already whatever ideas. So that's where there's a lot of definitely improv that goes on after, but the general ideas are mostly sketched out.
Gotcha. All right. So this is another view of that. Tell us what we're looking at with this piece you got here on the right, and can you well, I can't zoom in, so can you tell us what's in the center point?
Oh, this was fun. It wasn't actually there for the convention portion of it, I don't think. So I was building this to take to Brick World Chicago. This was going to be kind of this back part of the Rebel Lug, our first live collab, and it was supposed to be like an industrial-ish sector. So I went and I added some nice, I think it was the first time I ever did lighting with Mocs, but I added some floodlights coming out of the bottom there. And then the idea was that I was going to build this thing. It was going to go in the back. It's just basically a big, some kind of whatever Star Wars industrial-ish building. It's in the back. So I had to raise it up, and then I had the lights. And then I was like, hey, I have the ship left over from the Mos Eisley collab I did. So why don't I have this thing crashing through the roof on this? Because I mean, it's totally something where I could have done anything with it, really. So what I did is, then I was like, well, they obviously just built around the wreckage. So I did a whole bunch of greebling and wreckage detailing, and they kind of just glassed around it in the center. So that was a lot of fun to throw into a build there.
Very awesome. As a matter of fact, I got that picture. I think a little there it is right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
And it was so funny, the questions that people had at Brickworld, asking what that was going through the roof. And I had also built a part of the ship to come out underneath, and in transport, everything blew up. So I was able to rebuild the ship, but then that extra bit of wreckage just did not want to work coming out of the bottom. So I think I just left it out there. But people wondered if it was a giant space cannon or what the thing was. So
right.
I found that really interesting, but I'm sure that my build definitely added some like depth and, well, definitely height to this whole overall collab. Otherwise it would have just been these other kind of industrial-ish buildings there.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Definitely, you definitely put some disturbance to the force, man. You know, got a little bit of, a little chaos, a little carnage going on. So, people want to build, people want to build like these nice, pristine buildings and stuff like that. And that's fine, because architecture is a piece of art. But then when you build some distress to it, that you go into a whole nother level. So
yeah. Oh man, I gotta say that this thing was so fun to build. Not just because I crawled in it after and destroyed it from the inside because it was that big. But
I saw.
It's so much fun because in the end, I would look at the inside of this and I was like, man, this actually looks like an authentic clone base. And I mean, that's what's funny is because I had been doing YouTube for however 7 or how long ago was this? Yeah, about like 7 or 8 years ish. And I've seen so many people do these clone bases because it was totally like a fad. Like you would see everyone was building these, and it was just the idea where everyone was kind of doing, like, most of them, if you search it up, there'll all be these small little, these little outposts and stuff. And then,
right.
I mean, this was always the dream to go bigger and bigger until I could do something that's feeling like super accurate to like, this is actually what would be in Star Wars, right? So that's where it was so cool to have this absolutely massive hangar, and you just look down and you're like, holy smokes, this looks like an actual base. And yeah, it just turned out so beautiful because I mean, the snot floors, everything was brand new, shiny and pristine, and it was so cool. And then once the vehicles were in there, then it was even cooler. But yeah, no, it was so much fun to build this.
Looks amazing, man. I mean, the details, and like you do the details on the outside, you're doing details on the inside. It's definitely man, this is you win an award for this one here?
I never took it anywhere.
Oh man,
I built it. It's just for myself.
Oh man, that's the
tragedy of what I've been doing all this time is that I'm building these bases, and then me and I mean, I get to share with my parents, who are, I'm sure they're absolutely thrilled by pieces everywhere. But I mean, like, there's not that many people that get to see, especially the final projects. I mean, I have some family or friends that will come over and they'll see, oh yeah, there's a big mess and a little bit of something going around, but yeah, it's to have the finished product.
That thing is massive, man. You'd have probably won every award if you were able to take that thing, man. Oh man, jeez,
it was so much fun. And I mean, I couldn't believe some of the things that, like, definitely the overall look of it, because I mean, it's one thing to have it all sketched out, but then when you look at the final product, and I'm sure it's even better in person because it was just, it's mind blowing. And then, I mean, I didn't get to do as much as I wanted to do with the top floor. I was hoping that would actually be a whole floor of like interior rooms and stuff, but of course that's where I had stretched out all my pieces to the max, and I was all out by that point. But it was something else.
Yeah, man, that thing, I can't believe you broke that thing up. Oh man, jeez. And so it's another thing that I like is that, again, the terrain and stuff like this looked like an actual beach, man. And one beach that I seen that I like was CKB's beach. But this beach too, this beach right here, I mean, you got your terrain looking great, man. And you're really thinking about, this looked like real. This looked real. It ain't just all plates. You're using plates. You're using studs. You're using some of the the green, the greenery and stuff like that, man. You using it all, man. It looks real.
Thanks. Yeah, that's the one thing is terrain for me. It always comes last, right? I'll build the whole focus of the build, and then it's always terrain last, and so that's where I kind of like to do a thorough job of of it to make like the foliage look or at least dense and thick and like real. And it's tough because I mean I probably spent like 6 hours straight placing all the grass stalks and stuff, but
Right.
but in the end I think it's pretty worth it because it definitely adds something else to the build. So it's not just like a flat beach around the edge of the mock, and it doesn't feel like it is the last part of the build in priority wise or anything. But I definitely like to put a lot of work into that. But I did stretch the water a bit thin, which was disappointing.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, and that brings me to my next point, man. I can't believe you broke this thing down. Oh man, geez. And I get it because you, like I was telling you before, you can't hang on to one build. So it's the next one, the next one, the next one. And I mean, you're doing it without breaking your pockets, man. So most people go broke, after chasing the next build.
Yeah.
Where you're being innovative and recycling your parts, man, making something totally new. That's awesome.
Well, that's what really intrigues me, but also scares me with the idea of building a city in the future, because I'm sure you're familiar with it, but when you put all of your pieces into something, then they're gone for good there, unless you decide that you don't like that part anymore or something. So that honestly really scares me about city building, because otherwise everything I do, it's all getting recycled into the next project. But if I go and do a city, and it's a Arctic city, right? There goes all my white pieces, and all of a sudden doing a Hoth mock is off the table. So
right.
Just something that is a little bit scary for me, in terms of going into the future. But I definitely just have to take a different mentality when I approach that. So
okay. Man, I like this lift, and then like you using the dies as cargo boxes, cargo boxes up in here to, that's pretty innovative as well too, man. I mean, you got to really have an eye for that.
What I started to get an eye for after this was stickers. If you look at those panels there, those control panels and stuff, some of those are mixes of stickers, but I've got I think those are Daily Bugle window panes.
Okay.
Some of them, and I pulled stickers from all kinds of places, like Galaxy Squad, for some of these panels. And so after this, I started to, when I'm on a Bricklink store, I actually go and check the sticker category there, and it's like, well, this might not be the worst idea to see what's around. They're generally not too expensive, and you can find some really cool stuff, and they really spice up builds a lot.
Yeah. Right. All right. Yeah, I don't think I showed the part of this here. It was kind of disturbed me. It kind of hurt my feelings a little bit watching this thing go down. Yeah, man. But yeah, this is tell us about this right here. I guess this was the last day it was standing.
This was its last day. Yes, I had a kind of friend guy come over who likes to film stuff, and so he came over, and then we started to tear this thing apart. So first I was sitting on top of it, and then I accidentally sat on the hanger. You'll notice that's broken first.
Right.
And that was an accident for the most part. But yeah, no, I climbed inside of it and started knocking those support beams out, and then it all collapsed on me. And I had one of my biggest regrets after that, because there was probably about 50 or more pounds of bricks on top of me from the second and third floors, and I left a few vehicles on there. I mean, I took off all the bigger ones, but then inside there were actually a few vehicles. So a few vehicles did die to bring that footage, but But it was a dark day, and I think the worst part was I didn't actually have my exit strategy plan, so I was
Okay.
just stuck underneath all those parts, and I ended
Oh
up making
man,
a ridiculously hard mess to clean up.
a lot of sorting, a lot of sorting.
Definitely.
Well, tell us about this starship here.
I'm so glad you put this on here. This was so much fun. I don't know how many people watching know. I don't know if you know about it either, but Shiptember. Have you ever heard of it?
Yes, 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 I
Yeah.
did.
And it's this awesome competition, or at least just build challenge for the month of September to build a spaceship. A massive investment in parts, some acronym of ship there. And it is, you got to build a ship that's over 100 studs long. So I took my whirl at it, and I love orange. And I have a stupid amount of those orange pieces that I made the wings with.
Okay, okay.
Because when I'm in Bricklink stores, I was in Big B's, and I see 200 of those at 3 cents a piece,
Right. Not
I
bad
just
buy.
myself. Yeah. So it was a great opportunity to use those. I don't know how. I definitely like the final product, but it was, I don't know, it was just a lot of fun to definitely try something different.
Awesome deal, man. That thing looked great, man. And, looks real good, man. And it's crazy because it's like, you see starships. People always refer to the gray stuff or the dark colors. You rarely see the bright color stuff. So I think that's futuristic. I would think it would be bright.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at?
Oh man, you're gonna start to notice my what's become my signature piece, and it's those quarter cylinder pieces, and you can find them in all my builds pretty much since I've got those pieces. And you can definitely see them here because they're everywhere. They're the supports, but this is the base to my biggest project ever, and this was the Scarif Citadel Tower base. And it was so fun because I finally decided to do a building series, a YouTube series showing building this whole mock. And it kind of died out at the end because I had way too little time to even film and upload and stuff because I was just busy trying to get this build to Chicago, the logistics and everything, and finishing the top too. And so I never got to actually properly finish the series. But it was definitely so much fun because in the first few weeks, people had seen Rogue One and people had seen the tower. But what would you think this is, right? This is what is he doing? He's building the Scarif Tower, but it doesn't look like a tower at all. So, but it was definitely something that I wanted to do, and was to add a bit of accuracy to it by raising it. So it would have the circle around the tower could be that proper shape and have some depth to it. So I started out by using up all of my black plates. I don't know if that was unwise or not because I probably could have used those later on in the tower for other filler-ish kind of reasons. But yeah, I just knew I had to make a super sturdy base because this thing was going to have to hold a massive tower on top. But as well, it had to be modular. So if you can kind of see, looking in the center of that circle, you'll notice like glass pieces because those were what I had for filler because I wasn't planning on using them in the mock.
Okay.
You can see that they kind of create a divide where it would this whole. I think this is 5. Is this 5x5 gray base plates? How this would all divide into? No, I think it's 4x4. How it would divide into the different sections.
Okay.
So, modular ability was like my first step in this because I was going to take this to Chicago and that was the plan. Now, it was coordinated as being a Rebel collab, and so the original idea was I was going to build the tower, and my buddies in Rebel would do all of the beach terrain as well as the transport pods and the bunkers and all the stuff out there. So I went on my merry way and I built this tower for 6 months, and it was really awesome because we had some great features planned out, like a rail car that would run through the center. It would be totally inaccurate to have run through the center and go through the bottom of the tower, but We could do that, and then at the show, what we'd do is we'd have it going back and forth, going through the tower to the back bunker and then to the front bunker. And it never ended up working out for various reasons. So that was quite disappointing to find out at the show. But yeah, it was definitely so many challenges with this build, because design and running out of pieces was always an issue. And then, of course, I got sidetracked a little bit. I had somebody offer me a UCS Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter, and instead of paying $200 or something for it, I bricklinked all the parts for it. And at the same time, I bricklinked a few extra parts, and then I built my own custom mannequins Jedi Starfighter UCS. So.
Oh, nice.
Something that kind of got swept under the rug, and I totally forgot it exists all the time, but it's on my shelf somewhere. So. Yeah.
Nice. Not bad. Man, those things are massive.
They are. It was funny because I had a few of the AT-AT sets, the most recent version, and I got them for 50% off, price matching at Toys R Us. It was this great deal for me, and I was like, yes, I have 4 of them. I can do a Hoth mock now. I'm set up to do that sometime in the future, whenever that is. It's, just kind of preparing to do different mocks. And these were incredible builds because the design was great. I saw a few other people starting to make them, and I thought, hey, well, why don't I try to make one? And then I built one, and I realized that it used almost all of the parts from the current AT-AT sets. So conveniently, 3 of them died and spawned in 3 of these beautiful things with, I think, about 1,000 extra pieces or 2,000 parts thrown in, which are mostly tile and plate, unfortunately, but parts that I like to have good supply of for Mocs. But I think they're definitely worth the sacrifice because they are super cool.
Yeah, they are. They look man. Very lot of detail in those, so you definitely get a lot of looks. So yeah, here's a shot of it standing high as it's standing, man.
Yeah, my favorite content cop there, Ryan, sitting in front. Oh man, this was so much fun to build, and I don't know, like, you can see Krennic's shuttle on there, or even Krennic inside the tower there, just for a little bit of scale. This thing was absolutely massive. It was really, on the one hand, a few different things. This mock really was amazing. It was great learning and so many different things with that, but as well, doing this actually really caused a lot of problems and like with relationships with people and stuff, because it actually caused a lot of tension between me and Rebel Lug, because this bunker in front was not even a Rebel Lug builder's part of the build, and in the end, Rebel Lug really didn't put out almost any islands or any of what they committed to do for this build. And then, of course, it was under the big Rebel Lug flag, and it was. You could see it anywhere in the convention center. Like, it was awesome, but I mean, it just really wasn't a Rebel Lug collab, and the person who was running it was not me for some reason. And then there was just really no follow through with any of the people. And it ended up being all these amazing friends and random people from the LEGO community here that came and helped me out with it. So, I mean, it was really tough because, it's hard to deal with a lug that lets you down when you spend 6 months and a few $1,000s to get this thing to Brickworld Chicago. That really hurts. But then on the other hand, it was amazing to see some other people just come up to me and totally help me out. And like a few notable builders like John Klepeek came out and he built an island, another guy named WMX Productions. And it was almost sad though, because none of these people helping out were part of the lug or anything, but it was all just friends and other people just volunteering. So it was amazing to see them step up and help out with it. But in the end, it was an awesome achievement. I mean, so many people have seen this build. I definitely would have liked to have completed it more. I mean, the top of the tower should probably not be that shape. The dish was pretty good, but yeah, I don't know. I wasn't satisfied in the end, I think, with this build too much. So that was really tough for me, because just the amount of effort that I put in, and then I've never really had to deal with that kind of situation. So I'm not really a drama person, but that caused a lot of drama and a lot of like hardship there. So that really sucked on the one hand, but I mean, Brickworld Chicago was an amazing time as well. So that's where I have like this huge conflicting thing about the whole overall Scarif ordeal, I guess. So yeah,
man. I mean, like, you know, with this here, you can tell you put a lot of time and devotion into it, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this. And so I think that, you know, with emotions, with certain tensions, because, you know, emotions arise out of tension. And so I think that, you know, that was a necessary road that you would, inevitably that was going to, come across anyway. You know, when you put out a model like this at this magnitude, and you put the man hours that you put into it, and then, like you say, like you don't get the assistance that you're looking for, or that should be there. And it's tough, but sometimes we learn lessons by spreading our wings sometimes. So don't take it as a step back, but a step forward.
No, yeah, for sure. No, I definitely would say it was such a huge learning experience, and it was great. But as well, yeah, great learning, and then also to show who is really willing to commit as much as I was. So that was kind of it's kind of tough for my overall look at Revelug now. But yeah, so this is a few random guys, some great friends of mine. These guys, the three closer to the tower, they were some big supporters and helpers who turned out to talk. So they're all awesome friends. But I mean, the LEGO community is awesome. I've met so many people, and it's great to have awesome friends in the community like these guys. And yeah.
And that's what it's about. Like, you meeting people and stuff like that, and running into these guys here and talking to them, and
yeah.
And and that's what it ultimately is about. Like Philly Brick Fest, I had a blast, because I mean I went there starstruck, with everybody, every YouTuber that I interact with was there, and I was just starstruck, and so it was just amazing to actually meet the people behind the screen. So
definitely, I always wanted to get out to Philly Brick Fest. It'd be a lot of fun. I can't, but like every time I see photos and stuff from that, I mean, I follow tons of people on Instagram, and I try to stay really involved, like with all different kind of areas of the LEGO community. So I try to follow around on Instagram to get a good sense of that. And I love that AFOL community, right? Like all the people from the different community streams and stuff that all go to Philly Brick Fest and stuff. Like I follow them. I don't really interact with that community much. Because I'm off doing my own Star Wars thing and doing stuff with that. But it's so cool to always see the huge amount of recognizable faces at Philly Brick Fest. I think that is so unique and really awesome. So I can only imagine.
Definitely. Who's the young man you're standing with here?
That's Parker from Brick Loot.
Okay.
If you know who that is. Taken more as a joke. I'm not really a big fan of Brick Loot, honestly. Knockoff Lego and stuff kind of goes right to the trash can for me.
Okay. I got you. I follow you now.
I'm not a super big fan, so it's more for the meme of it. But yeah, I'm sure he has no idea.
No, he don't. Did this thing win? Did it win?
It did not win, but we were pretty happy with the nomination. No, if you saw the other builds, you'd totally understand. I was surprised we even got recognized as a nominee. The group layouts at Brickworld Chicago are unbelievable. You've got Virtual Lug that they only put out to 2 conventions a year. They're there. They had Euro Bricks, some of the most fantastic Mocs ever put into a giant collaboration. Those guys blow my mind every time. So I totally understand why we didn't win best group layout or anything. They're amazing builders there. Holy smokes.
Okay. Good deal. A little bit of Brickworld's shenanigans going on there.
Oh yeah. There's some great stories behind all this stuff. But yeah, no, awesome community and lots of fun times.
All right, that's your young group there.
That's early Rebel, yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Alrighty. So this is where you left me hanging, man. You left me hanging. Like, you know, you posted this back in December 2017, and then you didn't post no more.
Yeah, no, it's so sad. So when I got back, it's all one big story. It goes right from Brickworld into this. And what had happened is, before I said I would do the Citadel, you know, Scarif, the big tower, I was going to do the Jedi Temple back then. And then I said, I kind of did a vote, and I was like, well, shit, I've just seen this amazing movie. I absolutely loved Rogue One. I still love it. I just watched it the other day. It was fantastic. And I said, do I postpone the temple and do it after I do the Scarif Tower? And everyone wanted me to do the Scarif. So I did Scarif, and I was really happy to. So right after Brickworld, Chicago was like, yes, I'm doing the temple right away. Let's go. And that summer just did not end up being super productive. I built a whole bunch of things for other small collabs. I got to try out some other Lego shows, do some local Lego things. I discovered an amazing little Lego convention in Canada here that's not very public. And I just had some fantastic times in the Lego community, interacting, hanging out with people. But I didn't actually get to start the temple till about September, and that is not a great time being a university student. So.
Okay. Nah, it's not.
Yeah. So from September to about December, I got this much done. I went to BrickCon, so I was going to do a build for that, and then I ended up blowing that up. And BrickCon was October, and then I came back, and I did custom tables. I started building, filming this. I have time lapse of this initial temple building, and then what ended up happening was it got to Christmas, and I just said, hey, I cannot. I just can't. I can't do school and do this at the same time. It's just too much. So I had to take a break, but I am back now. I just did my droid army the other day because I had quite a few requests for that. And now I'm very excited to finally get to work on the temple. So it's going to be so much fun, and I'm really excited. So hopefully the first episode of that should be out very soon. I would have liked to have gotten out tonight, but I was just sick for the last few days, so that kind of sucked. But yeah, excited to get on that and to definitely bring another giant Star Wars build.
Okay. Good deal. Oh man, you know what? I appreciate that selection, man. I do, man, and I'll probably actually go back and take a look at this video just to really look at those builds again, or look at this PowerPoint slide. It's truly amazing to see the architect that you produced already. And even on that last slide, I'm looking at your next project, and then all those totes, those 3 totes of all that brick that you got underneath that table, man. You know, and it's just like endless imagination, man. Not enough time in the day, man. Like you said, it's tough because you're at school, and so it's almost like working 2 jobs almost. Trying to juggle the time and everything.
Yeah.
One more question before I let you off the icebox, good sir. So let's say about 30 years from now, you'll be about 50, and you're an old Jedi, right? And a young Padawan decides to come to you and ask, hey, I would like to start a Lego group. What do you tell that young person, that 16-year-old or that 14-year-old, about Lego?
Wow. I would... Well, of course, you have to do all the things, like ask what kind of group he wants and what kind of community he kind of wants to build around that. But I don't know. Are you talking like just what would I tell him about Lego? What would I tell him about community history or any of that stuff? Is that what you're thinking?
Tell him about your ride with Lego, man. Tell him about your ride with Lego.
I tell him that it's definitely worth it. It is so much fun, and I think in the end you don't regret it, no matter what you do in this community, unless you're just a complete troll on the internet or something. But it's always great to get into. I mean, Lego holds its value as well, so you're not going to lose money being in this too much. It's just always worth it. Go out, see what else is out there. There's so much more to the Lego community. The more you look, the more you'll find, because there's people doing Lego everywhere. I mean, just locally, I discovered some people that are doing trains here in my city, and I don't live in like a big city or anything. And it was really cool because they're like, hey, trains. And I mean, right now I'm not doing anything train related, but I know in the future I'd love to do that, especially for my future city. So I mean, that's where just get involved, get out there, see what's around, build, and have fun, and it'll be awesome.
Good deal, man. Good deal. Hey, Kris, I appreciate you coming on, man. I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you sharing your talents with us, man. You know, you didn't have to, and you answered the call, man. So I want to thank you.
Yeah, well, for sure. Thank you so much for having me on here. This was awesome. It's always awesome to talk. I've been around a long time, so it's interesting for me to actually look back and kind of relive all this past and all this history in the Lego community here. So it's a lot of fun, and it was awesome to hear even your questions and kind of your comments on the way you directed and everything, because you know you're really interested in the actual Lego community as a whole, and that's not always the direction that lots of people take on in the Lego community, right? Some are super focused on building and not as much on the community. So that's just really awesome to hear that there's people out there that really care about the community and all the awesome stuff that's going on. So yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me on, and it was a lot of fun.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Hey, folks, this was the 40th episode of On the Icebox. If you missed it, definitely go back and take a look. Amazing builds, amazing, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. This is it. This is it. This is the cream of the crop. I'm telling you. So with that, I bid you peace, love, and Lego. Have a good night, everyone.
See you guys.